because I tease you all the time, remember?
Yeah.
Like, I tease you all the time. I slap your butt, I grab you, and things like that.
Okay.
So when you
don't everyone.
No, I mean it. Welcome back to your favorite podcast. This is the Maximum Filipino Show.
Yo.
We're doing a hangout. We're just hanging out. We're just having conversation. We're just talking about random things in life. We just finished a lot of our Afterflix, some of the shows that we're doing, and we're waiting for more. And we have some guests is scheduled for all of you guys and some content creators. Filipino, of course, they are all Filipino content creators. Happy New Year, by the way. My name is CB.
And Wakka.
Yes. Yeah. It's another year. It's 2022. We're still in season 1. I realize every time I upload something, we're still in season 1. I don't know if I'm ever gonna change that. I don't even think that should matter.
What?
Putting seasons in podcast.
Really?
But yeah. So what's your any plans for 2022? Anything new? Anything that you want to accomplish? Any goals?
I haven't set up any plans, but I do hope for the best for this year. That's for sure. Better than last year, hopefully. But other than that, no. How about you?
No, don't have any long-term goals for the whole year?
Nah. That all got crushed a couple years ago, so.
Oh, okay. All right. So no long-term, no.
Not right
long-term
now.
goals.
Nothing long, nothing short. Nothing. I don't got nothing at the moment.
Okay.
I'll figure that out.
All
I'm
right.
just floating on the boat right now.
That's kind of risky. That's what he's doing.
Yeah. That's why I'm still single. I don't plan to find anybody.
All right. Well, I'm trying to focus. I'm gonna besides the career and what I want to do here and what we do. I think my long-term goal is going to be structured English. No, it's to get back in shape, get back in shape and see where's
shape
that
you want.
Huh?
Apparently, already have a shape, just a shape that you want.
Okay, whatever makes you feel better.
I have a shape. It's just not a shape that everyone likes.
So I just wanna go back in shape and be thoughtful of our body, my body, and see where's that heading to in 2022. I think that should be that is my long-term goal. We had this conversation before.
Yeah.
Long-term goals. I realized that. So I had a picture of how long-term goal works and how it goes. But when we were driving to Florida, this was before Christmas. We were driving to Florida, and I was looking at my GPS, and I see it's like 16 hours left. When we started, and then we reached that destination, and that's how I picture long-term goal. Is hitting that point of the farthest point where you can do it. Can be the most bizarre, it can be the craziest goal that you want to be, but that should be the long-term goal. Now, people might say that goals don't work. You shouldn't do goals, and that's fine. It might work for some people not looking at goals, because when you don't hit it, you feel like a failure. You feel like this and that. But to me, I do goals. So I like seeing goals. I like accomplishing goals. If I don't hit the goals, I gotta do it again and meet that goal. So I like doing goals. Anyway, long-term goals is what you seeing in the end part. Not necessarily the final thing, but what you want to do. Like, losing weight. You might want to, your long-term goals might be to lose, 160 pounds. And that is the long-term goal, is going to Florida. This is my epiphany. It's probably, for a lot of you, probably like, oh, we already know that. But this was my own epiphany. So, short-term goals is when we hit states. When we pass states, driving, and that's our short-term goals. It's like, oh, now we just passed Michigan. We're hitting Ohio. Those are the short-term goals. And I think for long-term goals, short-term goals are important. So whatever that may be, that can be, that can be losing weight. Practical. And it's like, my long-term goals is to hit 160 pounds, but my short-term goals is like In 2 months, I want to lose 20 pounds. In the third month, I want to lose 40 pounds total. Like those are the short term
Mm.
goals. And the beauty of it all is this. The beauty of it all, I think you shouldn't set a timetable, especially for personal goals. Personal goals. You shouldn't set a timetable when you want to get it done. I think um that's where everything just kind of messed up and take shortcuts and take not the not the viable way of hitting your long-term goals is when you set a timetable.
So basically, if there's no timetable, you just
You want to
prefer
talk closer to the mic?
to have it whenever you just get there.
Yeah, I think because I think it depends on your, like what The Rock said. It's about drive. It's about hunger. It's about your drive. Like what drives you the most in. This is that's no pun intended because I was talking about driving to Florida, but it's about your drive. How fast do you want to be there? And because when you're driving, you're like, it says, the GPS says it's not even a recommendation. It's telling you you're gonna be there in like 5 minutes or 5 hours, right? And sometimes as a driver, you're like, oh, I'm gonna try to hit that like less than an hour or less than 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's about the drive. How do you want to get there? But the point is, whichever route you take, you might get lost. You might, you might lose track. You might, that's another pun, but you might get off track. But if you keep moving forward, you keep doing and trying to reach that goal, eventually you're going to hit it. You might not hit it totally, but eventually you're going to hit it if you're going to do your best to go there and head there. You know what I mean?
So
Now time wise, it might not happen right now. It might not happen in a month. Might not happen in 2 years, 3 years. But if you keep doing it, you're gonna
you'll
eventually
eventually get there as long as you're getting there.
Yeah, as long as you're trying to get there. You can't just sit and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna be there. I don't know if you're gonna be there if you're just sitting there. You know what I mean?
So from point A on the long term, from point A, as long as you see point Z, but what matters is between B to Y.
Yeah, B to Y. What matters is no. It's actually not what matters between B to Y. What matters is
From B to Y, I mean.
you're doing something. You know what I mean? You're doing something. And a lot of people with that set up goals and set up accomplishments, and this might not be me. Sometimes, most of the times I feel like that. When you feel accomplished, everything is just drags and happens. Like it set up your mood in a good way. Now you feel like you're fulfilled and you want to do something bigger. Like starting with making up your bed. We've seen that video before, right? Like start with making your bed, and now you feel accomplished. Now you feel like you can do a lot more things. A lot of times, though, especially in college, when I finish my one requirement, however big or small that requirement is, it can be like a book review or a thesis or anything like that. Once I finish it, I don't feel like doing something else again. I feel like I'm done. Okay, I'm done with this. I can't do this anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. There's like the moment of unspoken break. Like you stop, and then you need to keep the momentum going. You have to have another goal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just sitting in your gratification and wondering what's next.
Yeah. So my 2022 goals, I haven't put them on paper yet, but I've been wanting to do them. It's one of them is to get in shape, go back to, eating. I don't know. I feel like my metabolism changed when I moved here in America. Like when I was in the Philippines, and especially like the first 5 years here in States, I can eat whatever I want and I'll be fine. I don't have to go for a run. I don't have to do anything. Now that I get, older, not really old, but, older, I feel like my metabolism is just changed drastically. And then I got married and I have kids. So it's like, I gain all this weight even though I don't eat that much, or like I have to do something for my body, like focusing on loving
they do
yourself.
say the body changes over time. Someone specifically said every 7 years your body changes and you have to adapt to something new. Or
I don't know. I don't know if that's true.
I don't know if it's true either.
I think your taste changes every 5 years.
Maybe.
Like your food taste.
I just believe over time things in your body starts to break down and
Well, I
something-
believe that. I
Well,
believe that, but
that's a fact.
nothing like changing if you weren't doing something to have that change. You know what I mean?
right.
Like your elbow won't go in your face after 7 years. Like physically won't change.
Okay, not physically, just biologically.
I don't know.
But yeah, I don't believe in those.
I'm gonna need an example for that. Like what kind of changes in your life will happen in every 7 years? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Like thinking, especially if you're consuming contents, consuming information, talking to people, and however that consuming is. It can be internet, it can be with people, from people, it can be books. Your point of view in a lot of things change like constantly. You know what I mean?
yeah. To a human, change is inevitable, but
Inevitable.
inevitable, inevitable, inevitable,
Inevitable.
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 Leave me alone. Inevitable. Inevitable.
Inedible? It's
Inedible.
like you can't
Inedible.
eat it. Inedible.
But yeah, change is just what's consistent to everyone. How change comes to them is different. I mean, it's subjective.
It's
Basically.
change. So let's say you are a home secluded for 5 years. Would change happen within 5 years?
Within 5 years, that depends.
I'm not talking about like before and after 5 years, but in that 5 years, would change happen in your life? If you're excluded, and you're not doing anything, you're not consuming anything, you're just in your room. Besides, physical changes like, you're growing hair and you're gaining weight and things like that. But psychologically and emotionally, would that change? Would there be changes happen in your life?
Again, it depends on the person. Some people can't stand their own self. Some people can't stand solitude or being alone by themselves. I believe something will happen, even mentally. Otherwise, I change for the better. That's choice. Even change for the worse.
It's kind of hard to think if change emotionally and psychologically will happen to you if you're secluded, if you are not consuming anything. If you're just at home, right? Let's say you were born like that.
Okay.
And except for changing physically, if you're born like that, secluded, of course your whole personality is different than anybody else because you don't have any interaction with other people, right?
Right.
But do changes happen because of the new information that you're getting? But if you're not getting new information, there won't be any changes. You'll be the same person from day one.
If you choose to be, but naturally speaking, I believe change will still come.
Really? I don't know how that possible though. Like how can change happen if there's no new information? Or information in general, whether new or not.
Well, like I said, it's subjective. It depends on the environment. Depends where you're at. What do you choose to be at or what not? Like I said, it could be change for the better, or change for the worse. Like within the 5 years.
Because here's the thing. This is why, and we're gonna go spiritual with this. This is why we have an unchanging God, because there's no new information for him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he's unchanging because there's no.
He's already all-knowing. He knows it all.
He's all-knowing. He's all-powerful. There's
Got
no
it.
more new information that will come to him for him to change.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he is faithful to you and I. He's faithful to the believers. He's faithful to human being. He's faithful because he knows. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do.
I don't know. So with that said, if everything is just, if there's no new information that's happened in your life, if you're secluded, you're not watching TV, you're not reading books, you're not having conversation with anybody, there won't be any changes. you will be the same person.
Maybe.
And because that's why when you move, right? When you move, let's say you have your friends or your acquaintance in the city,
All right. Okay.
right? And then you move away, you go to either a bigger city or you just move anywhere, right? And then you came back after 10 years, you see the same people you didn't move. You might see some small changes that happen in your life, in their lives, but they are still the same person. They have the same habit. They're doing the same thing. You know, they live in the same house. They live in the same place. They have the same, I don't know. They have the same lingo. And compared to you, that you went to a different city and came back, your change is more drastic than them.
Okay, so you're saying that what I'm thinking may not. I'm not saying it isn't true. It's just, or how you're explaining it, that change is more of a choice rather than it being absolute.
I feel like it's both. I feel like changes is both choice and subconscious.
I'm trying to avoid the word inevitable.
I feel like it's both. It's both a choice and a subconscious change. Subconsciously, your point of view in life is changing. Your lifestyle is changing. And I'm not talking about physically, because physically is always subconscious. Not always, but most of the time subconscious. You know what I mean? Subconsciously changing something. By choice is, if you don't take care of yourself, or if you don't shower for 10 years, of course changes will happen. That's by choice. But subconsciously, changes could happen.
I still believe change is maybe change is not, maybe the inevitable or absolute's not right. What I'm trying to look for, it's just consistent, in regardless of one's life. So going back to your whole staying with 5 years of not willing to learn anything and not doing, not learning anything new, I still believe change will still happen.
Well, change will happen after the 5 years. You know what I mean?
No,
like after the 5 years, of course, your personality will change.
So what I'm trying to say is that change, something new will change. So if you're not growing, you're eroding. So, like even now, there's things in my life that I haven't contained, that I haven't remembered for the last, God, I have to say it, 30 years.
Yeah.
But so I'm saying that going that 5 years, if you're not willing to gain any more information as a human, well, you're going to lose whatever you know already. I mean, you're not going to remember all of it. You're going to slowly forget. So
all of the things?
Slowly forget.
Really?
Not everything.
Huh.
I mean, there's things in life that I can't remember. Like, you happen to remember random things that I have to...
Yeah, but also you forget things because of the new information that you're gaining.
Okay, I'm going back to the 5. Sticking to what? Not gaining anything new.
Right.
If you're not growing, you're eroding. So I'm saying you will slowly forget what you already know.
In 5 years of...
5 to, or
well,
over
okay.
time.
Yeah. Yes. So this is the point that I'm trying to make. Let's say in 10 years, right?
Okay.
Let's say in 10 years you decided to be secluded, no getting information, no nothing, no physical contact with anybody or anything like that. Just in 10 years. I think within like 5 years, well, I would say about 5 years, you already lose all the personality trait that you have before you decided to be secluded in 10 years, right? So you are a completely different person now. You might be, you used to be extrovert, but in that 5 years, now you're like a weird, I don't want to say a weirdo, but a completely different person.
You're a Moses when he was in the wilderness.
Yeah, because you're a hermit. You don't talk to anybody. Your personality changed.
Right.
Like, drastically. So now you're a completely different person in that 5 years. The next 5 years, you never change. So like I said, in that within 10 years, the first 5 years, you already change because you're a completely different person now. You don't have any contact with anybody. The 5 years after that, of that 10 years, the span of 10 years, you will never change. You're still gonna be the same person. There's no changes will happen in your life in that 5. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, if you're sticking to one thing, then yeah, maybe you're right. But what I'm referring to holistically, like everything, something, if not everything, something about you is going to change over the time.
Yeah.
If it's not your mental state, emotional state, maybe physical state, or any other state in your body,
Yeah.
something's going to change regardless. Nothing stays the same. That's what I believe.
Well, yeah, because are you talking about in that example or in the human being in general?
In the example that you brought up, and in human being in general, I was just saying that a person or human being, whether from biological to emotional to mental or spiritual, something's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Something. I didn't say everything.
Well, yeah, yes, in life, because, and this is why, because new information is coming. But if there's no new information, you're not gonna change, except physically.
Well, okay. So when new information comes in, okay, yeah. But what I'm saying is that if you're not gaining any new information, if you're not growing, because to me, when you get new information, you're growing. Like, for example, the conversation that we had last night, or the last couple of days about inner monologue. Not to elaborate, I'm just saying that was new.
Yeah,
I'm growing, and
right. But with my example, do you agree that person won't change? Except
in what
physically.
aspect?
Except physically. Anything else besides physically, he won't change. He will still be the same person if there's no new information happening or gaining or getting.
Person-wise, personality,
habits, vocab, anything. Spiritually, it will still be the same thing. Same person.
I guess maybe the definition I brought to change is based on my personality or me, and thus why I made it such a worldview. But maybe it's just my view.
Well, because it makes sense why a lot of cults, like cults and occults, that forbid their followers to go out of the sanctuary or their tribe. Right. Or to read other information. There's some pseudo-Christian beliefs where they're not allowed to read the whole Bible. They're only allowed to read certain parts of the Bible, and you have to be in a certain position in that belief, in that religion, where you can read other parts of the Bible. Like if you're a missionary, you can read these parts of the Bible. If you're not a missionary, you're just a regular member, you're not allowed to read the Bible. You're only allowed to hear about the Bible from your ministers or from the pastors or from whoever's preaching, right? But they forbid their people to read the Bible. And because once they read the Bible, once you gain more of this information, you will change. Your point of view will change. Your point of view will change. So if you seclude them, so like some of the occults, right? Or some of the cults where they are only allowed in this area of the tribe or their belief system, they're not allowed to pass the gate, or you're not allowed to pass this place, or not allowed to talk to these people, because once you gain that information, changes will happen. You'll find out the truth.
Okay. I guess I understand in that aspect.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. It's either you get or forget.
Yeah.
That's, I guess.
Well, let me give you an example. If growing up, right? If growing up, you believe that, I don't know, walking with your hands and your legs, or walking just your hands, is the normal thing. That is that's the only way walking. All right, what I was saying. So let's say you grew up in a family of, I don't know, like weird family, where they taught you and you learned that the only way walking is with your two hands. You're not allowed to talk to anybody. You're not allowed to communicate with anybody. And that's, you grew up. Do you think changes will happen in your life? Do you think you will realize, with no other new information?
Okay, on a I guess you're right, because a lot. Let's go back. Yes, I think to answer your question, no. Now that I think about it more deeply, in that aspect, in terms of behavior, will your behavior change?
Yeah.
If someone told you nothing new,
Right.
I think not.
Mm-hmm.
Only because there was a lot of things that I thought I knew was the absolute truth.
Yeah.
Until I entered into this area.
Yeah.
And learned things that are new that were actually absolute, and everything else was relative. Yeah, that changed. Okay. Now you're hurting my head. Why are you telling me this now? Why are you telling me this now?
Well, I guess the point is, get like new information. Like, just grab more information, whether books, social media. There's some sources that are not helpful, not gonna be helpful. What I'm not saying that you have to accept all that information right away and change your whole life. I'm saying is you should allow yourself to accept more information, but filter it. Get that information somewhere else. The problem is, and a lot of Americans and even Filipinos, I don't know about other countries because I've never been there. Problem with a lot of Americans and Filipinos is they only have one source of information. They only allow themselves to listen and watch one source of information. So now that's how you become dogmatic about that. Be just that's it. And then you attack other worldview because you didn't listen to other worldview. You didn't look at the other angle, another perspective of things. Yeah. So it changes. So
yeah.
I
guess what I apply to is more on the biological standpoint, in terms of your body changing in its natural essence, in terms of age or your skin. But if on I don't think it's a neurological standpoint, in terms of what basically what you knowledge. If you don't have any new knowledge, your behavior, your personality may just stay the same. So I was just referring to the natural state of things.
Yeah. That's also explain what you consume can define who you are. And I carefully use the word can define who you are. If you don't filter it, and because new information will change you. Speaking of new information, he kind of talked about it. Tell them about that new information that we learned.
Kid you not, man.
2 days ago.
We are the opposite on that new knowledge. So what we learned recently, and just to put a name on it, it's called inner monologue. Basically, that you have a conversation with yourself in your head, mentally speaking. I mean, that's redundant.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that you have a thought and something else, a voice in your head has another thought of its own. Yeah, basically a voice in your head, and your thoughts, you are having, as if it's a dialogue, but it's a monologue with your voice in your head with yourself. But I don't have that. That was crazy when we were learning that, when he thought what inner monologue is norm for everyone, where I thought inner monologue was just something you see on TV. Like, example, the devils and the angels in your head having a legitimate conversation, what's right and wrong. That's a real thing, apparently, but that's a minority.
Yeah, we are the minority on that one. So when you so basically when you're reading a book, and when you're reading a book quietly, you hear a voice in you not necessarily hear it with your ears, but you have a voice in your head reading the book for you. And that's how you commonly read the book. And a lot of people probably think, oh, that's a normal thing. But apparently it's not. So what happens when you read a book quietly?
So when I read a book, I'm forming the words in my head. I'm reading the words, understanding the definition. I'm forming the word in my head, not like an actual person.
I don't get how that works, because for us it's much easier to explain it, because we just hear the words. We hear a voice reading the book. So it's like So it's like when I read something right out loud. So let's say I read it. Today is January 3rd, 2022. That's exact word. That's exact voice. I hear it in my head, but in a different tone, in a different kind of voice, because it's not my voice. I don't know whose voice is it.
I don't hear a voice. What I am just reading words that I'm just forming it in my head. I don't hear a voice. Nothing.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I just read the word in my head.
I kind of get it, but I don't. I think I get it how it works.
What I'm saying, he hears a voice. I don't. I don't hear nothing but just silence and just words of the image of the word in my head. Like the word "the" is there, but there's no one saying it. It's just "the."
So you just see the and understand that that's the word. The.
Exactly.
Okay.
So like missions, I'm reading missions on the board. It's not like someone saying it.
Yeah.
But okay, here's another example, and it made sense last night when we have a conversation with one of our friends. They can actually hear them singing a song. I can't.
Yeah.
I need to, when I'm thinking of a song, I need to play it out. I need to hear the song. However, they can have a whole party in their head singing verbally and band and all in their head. And I'm like, have you noticed some people probably bobbing their head like they're having a party, but there's no music around? Well, apparently that's it.
Yeah.
That voice in their head.
Yeah.
There's
So when because you read a lot of mangas and watch animes, when you see that with the bubble, or watch animes and their mouths are not moving and it's clearly having inner thoughts, how do you explain that? What? Because you just found out about inner thoughts. What do you think was that?
it's what they're thinking in their head, but it's best to hear what they're thinking.
No, that is inner thoughts.
Well, unfortunately, that's not what we hear. We don't hear our voice or a voice. Like I said, I'm just reading the word. Like, so when I'm reading a book, and
so you're saying when you watch anime and you see that, you thought it was just they were just explaining what their thoughts, because you can't see thoughts, so they had to explain what in their thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, like in a movie,
Yeah.
when you're looking at them, you know they're thinking of something, but you can't. When a movie that's based off of a book.
Yeah.
But when you read a book, they explain what they're thinking.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm just saying that's what their thinking process is. They're calculating, but not having a monologue with themselves. They're not telling them, "What the F are you doing? That's not right." No,
Yeah.
they're just thinking. You're that voice, but you're not talking. You're just talking in your head. I don't know how to explain it. There's just no voice. So when I'm quiet, when I'm talking, or when I'm thinking, I'm just saying things in my head that I would, rather than saying it out of my mouth.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but there's no other voice that's trying to challenge that thought.
Yeah, I a lot of times have a conversation with myself, like right now while you were talking, I'm just having a conversation with myself. Or what next am I? What am I gonna say, or how am I gonna respond to that? And if I, like in interviews, or having conversation with someone and asking them questions, I ask them the question, and while they're responding, I think about their their answer, and find a follow-up question to that, and then I structure that follow-up question in my head, and I make a scenario of what kind of response they're gonna do, and what will be my follow-up response to that follow-up question.
Okay, so yeah, I was also bringing it up to my coworkers, and someone brought it up, the same thing, interview. So I was like, how do you do interviews? How do you do, basically interviews or whatever. And I said, I prepare beforehand. Like I set myself up. If they say something that will cue what I remember, then that will come up. I can't process it right away. So I had to prepare myself. Like if they say something about, they were challenged when they were, when they were kids, and they had to solve it. And in my head, I form, he said the key words, or he did something of a scenario that I remember in my head.
Yeah.
I will use that, and I'll create that question to backfire. I can't formulate it naturally.
Yeah. No, I
Otherwise, if it's like an impromptu interview,
Mm-hmm.
like most of the time when I forget that we have a podcast. Not like today. I do remember. I have to, I have to receive what he's saying, then formulate it. But for you, you're receiving it. While you're receiving it, you're formulating it ahead, and you already have a way out.
Yeah, yeah, because I
For
already
me,
have a conversation going on in my head.
Yeah, that's all. That's step one for you. That's step one. Step two, then step three.
Yeah, yeah. It still blows my mind. See, we're talking about new information and changes. It still blows my mind that I didn't know people can only see color, because that's what they see. They see images and emotions.
Yes.
And
exactly.
what we see is, no, that's wrong verbiage. You guys don't see images and emotions. You guys perceive images and emotions. What
Okay,
we
yeah.
perceive is just sounds. It's just vocals. And
That's
that's
crazy.
another thing that blew my mind. It's like, so how do you, because I asked him last night, how do you recap movies? Like when you're recapping movies, and when I ask, because we do Afterflix, right? And I ask you, what's your favorite scene or favorite line? You don't imagine them talking, like, not imagine, because you probably imagine the scenario, right?
Yeah.
But you don't imagine them talking as well. Like you don't hear their voices saying
No.
the lines.
No. I see an image. If it's a motion picture, it's a very silent motion picture moving their mouth, but I don't remember what they're saying. Or I don't hear what they're saying. Unless you have a super memory, then yeah.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah.
Most of the time when I see a scene, it's all images.
Well, because and this is kind of crazy to think about. You know, when people say he doesn't sound like that, that's what we meant. He doesn't sound like that because we play that sound in our mind. So let's say someone said a line, right? Like a common thing that people will say, like one of our friends, and like one of our friends always say, just forget about it. That's just an example. And someone said, oh, he says things like, oh, forget all of that. Now, for us, we go in our brain and we play it as if he's saying that. And we're like, no, he wouldn't say things like that.
No, so how that works for me is that I memorize his mannerism or behavior or choice of words.
Yeah.
So when he says something that's outside of that person's behavior or however that makes him, yeah, that's how it triggers me.
No, we play that in our heads and have that person say the same things, like vocally say it.
I can't.
Audio.
So
and we're like, no, I don't think he would say that.
He will say it doesn't sound right. For me, it just doesn't picture right.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. Yeah, it kind of makes sense too when we're watching. Oh my gosh, this is so much epiphany. When we're watching movies and shows. Remember when we're what is this? A music video. There was a music video. I forgot what the song. There was a music video that we saw on YouTube, and I was like, "That's a wrong lyrics." I think they changed. Oh, it was the radio. They changed the lyrics of the radio, right?
Yes.
Because there's a Christian song, and listen to the radio. Man, it was playing in my head. And they changed the lyrics from radio to Family Life Radio because that was the station. And I was like, no, that doesn't sound right. It was like, I don't think it says Family Life Radio because I wasn't focusing on the radio because I was driving. I just heard the Family Life Radio and I replayed it in my head. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. And then we had that conversation. It's like, oh, it's probably for advertising. And that's
for me, I didn't notice, and probably because I don't memorize the lyrics.
Yeah. So it's probably, I don't know. Was it a lot harder for you guys to remember radio, like radio scenes, like when you watch? Oh, We're Alive. Let's say We're Alive.
Okay.
If I tell you to recap a scene in We're Alive, how would you do that?
Do the best I can to describe it.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be able to reenact it. Yeah, like even right now, I'm trying to think where you're, like remember what's going on, but
yeah, because I can remember. Of course, I won't remember people's voices, right? But the people that I remember the voice, I can play it back in my head.
No,
I can
need to
hear them
hear it.
saying it.
I was like, oh, okay, that's right. That's how that's how he sounds like. No, but like
how would you remember voices then?
Like I said, we've we just somehow remember it.
Really?
Like
That's weird.
well, maybe I remember frequency.
Yeah.
Because every voice has a pitch.
Yeah.
And I'm remembering, I don't know the exact frequency, but I remember a frequency.
So there are singers, their voices are distinctive, right? Or
Very.
actors, very distinctive. For example, Liam Neeson. Remember Liam Neeson from Taken?
Yes.
Yeah. How would you remember his voice? So if I tell you, do you remember the sound? Like, do you remember the scene in Taken when he said, "I will find you and I will kill you"? Right?
I do remember it, but
Yeah.
I can't hear him say it.
But you just know the sound of his voice.
Yeah.
Huh.
I
That's
can't reenact the voice. I just know
Well,
his voice.
I can't reenact the voice either, but I can play it in my head. Like I can have him do the voice again. That scene in Taken. Like who else? Who else a very distinctive voice? Like
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman. There you go. That's a perfect example. Like how would you replay Morgan Freeman's voice or Samuel L. Jackson? Like in Pulp Fiction when he said "mother effer."
I would picture he's black, he's ghetto, he has a really a foul mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's going on in my head. Like I'm putting those pieces together to know.
And then you just know that that's his voice.
Yeah, but I
Interesting.
can't picture or I can't hear his voice in my head. I can. It's funny though because
So you're saying, as soon as you hear his voice, you just know that's Samuel L. Jackson.
Mhm.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but
Gotcha.
sometimes I'm wrong because there's some people that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but that's funny though. I guess there's just selective hearing
Mm-hmm.
or selective thoughts, because every time there's the saying that always I hear my mom in my head.
Yeah.
It's because when I see something that is not supposed to be there, and everything that I recall are things that my mom taught me not to do, so not to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can hear her.
Oh, okay. And you don't think that was weird when you hear her voice?
No, because I thought that was just part of a memory.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, actually, I can hear it clearly now. Just
Yeah, that's the thoughts that we're having constantly.
but the sound, like I'm trying to remember what she would say.
But she's not talking in your head.
No, I can remember the. I can remember the sound. I can remember the behavior. I can remember all of this, but I can't remember the verbatim of what she would say, or something. I can imagine that's something she would say.
Or let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say, I don't know if this is what your mom taught you to do, but like lift the toilet seat up after you pee, or put the toilet seat down after you pee.
Oh, I know an example. Rather, she tells us to sit down.
Sit down when you pee?
Yeah, because she's getting tired of cleaning.
Oh, yeah. So when she says sit down, Jay, sit down when you pee, do you play that in your head?
No, I just imagine her shouting.
Oh,
Not-
but there's no
Not like the exact scenario or
Right.
the exact situation that occurred.
Yeah.
I just imagine my mom that she would say that.
Yeah, I can even when you said that your mom will yell at you about anything, what I do in my head, this is what's going on in my head. I had a conversation with your mom through the phone, and I remember the voice that she has, and I play it in my head as if she was yelling at you, based on what I remember with the conversation that I had with her over the phone.
See.
Like I've never been in that. I've never seen her yell at you about anything, or never seen her yell about the toilet specifically, right? But I can put it in my head and imagine her yelling at you about that certain instance, and put the voice based off the conversation that I had with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the, and I don't know, like let us know if that's the kind of
It's crazy,
thoughts
but
that
it's
you're
cool.
having. Like this is blowing my mind, because it's probably blowing his mind too, because I never thought people like him exist.
And I kid you not, I was telling my coworkers, like, I wish I had that so I can yell at the guy on my head too.
Yeah.
But no, it doesn't. I don't hear a voice.
Yeah, because like the yelling. When I'm frustrated with someone, right? Instead of me yelling at them, I picture them in my head yelling at them. Now I do remember we had this conversation, the pros and cons.
Mm-hmm.
So if I yell at this person, what would be the pros and cons? And then I imagine them reacting if I yell at them, and and I do that with voice.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
I have to receive what they're saying and at the same time try to be calm. Like in the heated moment, like things at home when you guys when we're loud. I want to say we. When we're loud, or when one is loud at another, and I'm just sitting there, I'm like, okay, just chill, receive it, what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, and then once I find out it's not a part, when I'm not a part of it, I just shut it off. And
Right. Well, because I think this, I don't even know if you can call it a gift, but this thing is a good thing and a bad thing. Well, it could be a good thing and a bad thing. I use it in both ways, or I have used it in both ways. So let's say in a heated argument, I calm myself down. The voice in my head can calm myself down. Because like what I told you before, when I'm frustrated with this person, I try to think of the good things that this person have done to me. Now, if I reacted negatively to this person, would he deserve it or would she deserve it? You know what I mean? It's also a bad thing because the voices can also, which is, when I say voices, I'm not talking about other voices, because that voices is just me. It's me. Those are my thoughts. We're not crazy people. It's just me. That voice / me can also pile up the problem. Like when I'm frustrated with this person, I'm starting to think back all the bad things that this person have done to me, or all of the horrible things that we've encountered, and that same voice will tell me all those things. It's like, hey, you remember this? Yeah, you should be mad at this person because they did this. Like, how come this is okay for this person to do it to you, but when you do it to them, they're mad? Like those are the vocal thoughts of our
so what happens to me, I have to, by choice. So when things are getting heated up, or when there's things are overwhelming via emotions, I have to keep telling myself to think, because otherwise, if my emotions build up, I can't think. I just react. So I try, like the other day, where I felt so bad.
Yeah. When you slapped my leg?
Yeah, because everything was it was just overwhelming. I didn't know how to respond, and I just
we were playing something.
We were playing either hand and foot, or
were we in my house?
Yeah, it happened just a couple days ago, New Year's, when your family came over. I hit you on the leg.
Was that at our house?
Yeah, we were around. They were talking about either, I forgot if we were explaining the game or they were explaining their version of the hand and foot, but it happened there. I remember it distinctively, and maybe I remember so well because it made me feel so guilty and so bad. I'm like, damn, I should have held that in.
Well, I remember what I was doing when you slapped me, because I was jiggling your arm. That's what I was doing.
Yeah,
but I don't know if it was with Courtney's aunt or our house.
It was at our house with your family when Nene came over, Tita Nene, and the kids. The kids were downstairs. You were right next to.
That was yesterday. 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Saturday. Was it Saturday?
No, it was Sunday. No, yeah, Saturday. Saturday night.
Really? Huh.
Because we spent Saturday morning, or Friday morning, with the Gwens. And then we slept in. And then later in the day, we decided to have spend time with your family.
Yeah, you might be right. I don't know. I feel like we were at Courtney's aunt.
No,
when that happened.
I remember it very clear.
Okay.
Because it happened there. Because there was a very quick moment of silence. Everyone stopped and then continued along after. Everyone stopped.
Oh no! When everyone stopped, it wasn't because of that. I think people.
Well, then it was very
because people were deciding whose turn is it, or the person. Yeah, no, it wasn't because of that.
But yeah, and so
it wasn't weird or awkward. It wasn't an awkward silence. Okay. It's just silent. Because I tease you all the time. Remember? Yeah. Like I tease you all the time. I slap your butt. I grab you and things like that.
Okay.
So when you
don't everyone.
No, I mean it. And then which is weird because I'm digressing, but I hate I like slap. When I say slap people's butt, I don't mean women. I don't slap any other women's butt. I don't do that. But my friends and things like that, I grab them, I tickle them and things. But when they do it to me, I feel awkward. Like, don't do it. Just get away from me. I hate that. But so I do it to him. Like when he's in he's in the kitchen, I just grab his hair or something, and then he will flinch and try to punch me. And I was like, oh. But at that time, I think because I was doing it for a long time, I was grabbing his head, his tricep, and I just do this. And then I think he had enough of it, so he smacked me. I was like, oh.
Yeah, but okay. So the reason why I brought that is that how I normally, how you cope up with when something is heated. I have to constantly tell myself, cool down.
So when you tell yourself, how does that work? Because when I tell ourselves, there's a voice in our head telling us, like literally said telling us.
So who's telling me is me. Like, I'm not saying it out loud. I'm just saying it in my head. How I understand what you're saying is that there's the voice that's you that you normally talk, but there's the voice behind there that's saying, no, that's wrong. No, how that doesn't work with me. This is the same voice, the same.
Yeah, because when you say tell, it's literally tell. Like tell with voice tell.
No, well, for me, I have to verbally or mentally tell myself.
I don't know how that works. Our mentally tell ourselves is that.
So, no, what I'm saying that what I would have a conversation with you, right? Like I have a conversation in front of the mirror. I'm telling myself this and that, but verbally, instead of verbally, I'm saying it mentally. But with no voice. It's just that I'm saying the words in my head. Or I am picturing the words in my head rather than not saying it.
Picturing the words in your head. Interesting.
But it's not words. It's just that I know it's me and I'm picturing that I will say these words.
Yeah.
But I can't hear my voice.
Yeah.
I can't hear it. I just picture me.
Like, do you see yourself in your head?
Yeah, I see myself in my head, and I know what I'm telling myself, but I'm not hearing a voice.
Gotcha. You just know. Okay.
Yeah, I just know. So I'm picturing myself. Okay, so yeah, I'm not having a voice telling me. I'm just picturing myself in my head that I know what I'm saying to tell myself, cool down and think this through. But I was overwhelmed with emotions that I reacted rather than. Yeah. But yeah, that's how I would respond. Versus you, I wish I can do that. Is that I can actually think while someone's yelling at me, is it worth getting mad at?
Yeah.
So instead of me telling that, I have to picture myself telling me that. Is it worth getting mad at?
So it's like a good example too is when we're watching, Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr. When he's doing the plan, whenever he does a plan, like the best example is when he's doing the Fight Club scene in the first.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and he was like thinking about, I'm going to grab the handkerchief, throw it at him, punch him in the gut. Those are inner thoughts. He's having an inner thoughts.
Not an inner monologue.
That's an inner monologue or inner thoughts, yeah. When he's like, when you see it zooming in and out slow motion, it's like, I'm going to grab the handkerchief and throw it at him, then punch him in the gut, and then this is the damage or what's going to cause in his body.
Okay, so if there's no other voice other than yourself saying that, then yeah, I think like that a lot. But what I'm saying is that
then you can, because in the scene, in the movie scene, you can hear him talking. Is the inner monologue. Like you could have probably your own inner monologue, just like what Sherlock Holmes is doing. But what in you is like you're just looking at it and you just know what to do next. But in that scene in the movie, you can hear him talk.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he's saying that he's gonna punch him in the gut, appendix, or it's gonna burst.
If it wasn't
that's the best example of that.
I kid you not, if it was an inner monologue, I would have considered that directors or it was a non-spoken courtesy or a thing that all directors must know or do, or actors, is that
to understand it,
to help understand a person's mind or what they're thinking.
Well, because the way I imagine it, if it's let's say Sherlock Holmes doesn't have an inner monologues, right? The way I will picture that scene would happen is you look at the handkerchief, focus on the handkerchief without vocal, right? Focus on the handkerchief, and then on his face, or it's like with the handkerchief, his hand to his face, right? And then a back imagination flash of what would happen without this is without voice, and then him picturing him punching his gut, like no voice at all.
If it was no voice,
And I think that's what going on in your head.
yeah, what I'm trying to say is that if it wasn't for the voice, I would say I understand what he's doing. He's calculating.
Yeah.
He's I mean, I
Yes.
don't know what he's actually
Yes,
calculating.
and
in his
maybe
head.
maybe some words too that says up there.
Yeah, go up to here. But when I see movies that have the inner monologue happening, I just thought they do it as courtesy for the viewers,
Yeah, yeah,
for viewers to understand this is what's going on in his head.
yeah,
But I didn't know there were actual words
yeah.
or like a
just
voice
like,
per se.
It's just like that.
Well, nah, for me, it's just that when I am trying to be proactive and calculate, I am mentally calculating things in my head, but not saying anything in my head. I'm just putting numbers, algorithms.
I do both. So let's say when you're doing something, right? When you're doing something and you're trying to plan and strategize how to do it, sometimes or most of the times you find yourself speaking out loud, right? So like, let's say traveling. You're like, oh, I'm going to go this way. And then after that, I'm going to go this way. And this is just you, yourself. And sometimes you speak it out loud, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I know a lot of people like that who it just helps them think and strategize to say it out loud. To me, I do both. I can think in my head and have myself talk in my head while I'm strategizing. And sometimes I find myself saying it out loud too. And that helps.
The only reason why I spoke out loud is because someone told me, and I said, "Oh, it does work." Otherwise, before that, I used to think everything in my head.
And because I think it also helps with memorization, right? There are three main ways of memorizing things. First one is repetitiveness, like you have to do it. Repetitiveness, right?
Yeah, right.
The second is you have to hear it, and the third one is you have to see it. And I think with you is you have to see it. Yeah, I think you have to.
It's more for me. It's memorizing, and then whatever I memorize, it's like I'm pulling everything I remember. It's like, all right, that makes sense. This makes sense. This is what this whole picture is telling me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like if I were to put 2 + 2 on the board, and sit quietly, I'm just telling myself in my head, 2 + 2 is 4 because I remember it.
Yeah. Yeah, because even with scenes, like when I watch movies and TV shows and they say a distinctive movie quote, I can picture that movie quote in the movie and that actor or actress saying it.
Well, I just remember if it's something that I really like and remember, I will picture it.
Okay, let me give you an example. Say hello to my little friend. Right? You know that movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can only remember I see Scarface. When you said it, all I see is Scarface with his minigun and saying that line, but I don't hear the voice.
Yeah, I can hear the voice. I can picture everything. I can picture him doing it. I can picture his face and the words saying it and the way he was saying it. Not just picture, like I can hear him saying it.
Yeah, I just picture everything. I just don't hear the voice. I need to hear the voice. I mean, like, I remember the voice.
Yeah.
But
You just know the voice. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's what bugs my head is how do you just know the voice without hearing the voice? You know what I mean?
Like, that whole saying goes where kids hear their mom among the crowd.
Yeah.
It's because they memorize how she sounds and all that. Like, I know it's you. If you were yelling out my name somewhere in the middle of the crowd, I was like, yep, that's AJ. I know that's him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just know that's him.
I just remember it's him. But yeah, that's crazy. That's what I learned.
Why is she calling me?
That's what we learned. It's...
Hello? Why are you calling me? Because we're recording. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. I'll call you back. Okay? I'm recording Wakka. You know what we're talking about? We're talking about inner thoughts.
Yeah.
For podcasts, we're talking about inner thoughts. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't have time last weekend, but we're going to do it again next weekend. All right, I got to go. I love you. I'll call you back. We're almost done.
Yeah, we have a lesson soon.
Yeah. I have a lesson coming too. I told him 4:30 because it's half an hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, I love you. Did you pause? I can hear the kid. Did you freeze?
She's probably pulling that prank, the freeze prank.
I know. I love you. But yeah, so 2022, more information, more. We're gonna have more guests. And if you want to be a guest of the podcast, if you're Filipino or if not Filipino, you have any experiences with Filipinos or questions about Filipinos, please email us. Let us know. We have at least 2 guaranteed guests that we're gonna have in the show. Filipinos. We're gonna talk to them about their experiences and the life being a Filipino. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be awesome. I don't even know who he's referring to, so it's gonna be a surprise for me on that day.
Yeah.
On the day of.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. I think we're done. That's it. We just have a little conversation recap. We might have the end of 2021 podcast with the rest of the gang. But so far, this is it. This is it for us. We'll see you guys later. Come follow us Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Not Tinder. I almost said Tinder. We don't have that. Though some people need Tinder. But the Maximum Filipino Show. If you're listening to this podcast and you want to see us having this conversation in an empty room with horrible lighting, just go to youtube.com and look for the Maximum Filipino Show. We don't have a unique URL yet because we haven't hit 100 followers. Please help us hit that 100 followers. And and if you're on YouTube and you want to listen to this, but you're doing something, you want your phone off and in sleep mode, go to your favorite podcast and look for the Maximum Filipino Show. If you have any suggestions, please email us, themaximumfilipino@gmail.com. We'll see you guys later. Thank you. Please. Bye.
Joanne.